Welcome everybody. Name is Robert Gannes. As always, this is Digital for Everyone. It is a weekly podcast that demystifies the digital world to help make it more accessible to everyone. Welcome Scrultoy, Josh Mendy, James Hammersmith, Jamie Does Honda. How's everybody going tonight? Glad to see you guys are jumping on quick fast. Tonight's special guest is me. I know that might be underwhelming, but that is what it is. Tonight we're talking about Google display ads. So we're gonna get right into that in a moment. So what we're here to talk about, what is Google display ads? This is meant to be a short introduction to what the Google Display Network does and is, and basically, to simplest explanations, Google Display Ads is a network of over 2 million sites, and they host display ads on these sites. Now, there are different types of ads, and we'll get into that in a little bit. So the first thing you're going to want to know, if you've never set up Google Ads before, the first thing you're going to want to know, welcome everybody, is how do you get an account? So you visit ads.google.com, ads.google.com. So there you're going to sign up just like any other website. You're going to sign up and it's going to have, name, email address, credit card information, all that sort of stuff. Now, one key thing is that you need to have a website to run Google Ads. You don't have to run the ads to the website, but to set it up, you need to have a website. Okay, so guys, ask any questions during this. Feel free to interrupt me. I love to engage with the audience. I like the fact that Dragon Pope Phoenix Pro is here. Amanda, welcome in the next room. So the types of ads. So Google covers 3 main types of ads. Tonight we're only discussing one, but the 3 main types of ads are display, video, and search. So display covers static or animated ads that are specifically not video. It's hard to describe it other than that, but you've seen them on websites. There's, if you go on Trinidad Express, Guardian, most major sites will have some form of Google Ads on them, smaller sites as well. But today we're going to talk about the display network and what that does, what that offers, and how to just get started, right? Any questions before I continue so far? So you go to ads.google.com, you sign up for an account. You do need to have a website to start a Google Ads account, but Google can set one up for you for free, and we can move from there. So we have 3 types of ads, but we're talking about display tonight. The display ads fall into quite a number of actual categories, right? So I'm going to kind of go through them a little bit. If you want to know more information, just ping in the comments and we'll talk about it. So you have sales type ads, right, which drive sales online, in app, and in store. So you can actually drive interaction into your store. Google has a methodology for doing that. Leads, if you are like Jamie Does Honda and you sell cars, you would prefer to maybe use a lead ad. Now, I don't think lead ad is accessible to Trinis, but it is a feature that Google offers in terms of their ad setup. There is traffic ads, which is, as it says, it gets traffic to the website that you want people to visit. Pretty straightforward and a great tool if you just want to say, you know what, I want people to see the things that I have to offer, whether it's products or services or anything in between. Right? There's also product and brand consideration, right? That encourages exploration of your products. So Google tries to find the people in your target market that are more likely to kind of explore and check out these things and maybe say, hey, I've been looking for a car, or I've been looking for something specific to what you sell, right? Awareness and reach is the most popular one. That's the one most people do. It's pretty straightforward. That one helps you reach a broad audience. So awareness is for repetitive use of the ad. So you'd have things like, someone will see your ad 5 and 6 times for the week or for the month, and reach is the specific number of people. So you want a lot of people, excuse me, this is, one of the drawbacks to being live, but you want a lot of people to be reached, but you also want them to be aware of it. So it doesn't make sense. So awareness and reach ads focus on making sure that a lot of people see it a lot of times, if that makes sense. App promotion is one of the last specific ad types, and it's exactly what it sounds like. If you have an app and you want people to install it, this this type of display ad helps you get app installs, right? And then custom allows you to do any variation or combination of the last few that I talked about. So just to recap, they are sales, leads, traffic, product, brand consideration, awareness and reach ads, and app promotion, and finally custom. So you've signed up for the account, you know which ad type you're looking at because you know what your company sells and therefore what you want to push and how this goal will help you. What we're going to do is we're going to talk about building your first campaign. Stop me, guys, if I'm going too fast. I know I talk quite quickly, but so you want to build your first campaign, the first thing you need above everything else is ads. And the biggest question that we get asked all of the time is, what ad sizes do we use? I'm going to give you a tip. It's the top 5 ad sizes that I use that I've also found. There's a fair bit of articles all over the place that tell you what are the best sizes, the best performing sizes. These are the 5 easiest ones to use. They're all quoted in pixel size. Now, if you're not familiar with artwork and things like that, that's fine. Your digital graphic artist will know exactly what you mean when you say this. But the top 5 sizes are as follows: 300 by 250, 728 by 90, 300 by 600, 336 by 280, and 320 by 100. Don't worry, I know you didn't write it down. I will put it in case you missed it afterwards. But these are the 5 key sizes. They can't be any bigger or smaller. They have to be those exact sizes, or else Google will reject it. Right? The next most important thing, this actually trips up a lot of people. Welcome, Bali. This next thing trips up a lot of people, which is the max file size. The ads cannot be over 150 kilobytes. Now, this seems like very specific stuff, but it is the basics that you need to get right to make sure that your Google ads work and work well. And the formats you're going to look at. So you're pretty standard. I'm pretty sure everybody's familiar with JPEG. There's different versions of it called SWF and PNG. It's not, if you're not super into the technical differences, it doesn't really matter. Finally, there's GIF. Now, I know everybody here has used a GIF once in their lifetime, and GIFs are animated ads. They are great for eye-catching stuff, and if you could, I would recommend you use GIFs, but it's also difficult to have a GIF that's under 150 kilobytes. So Dragon Pope had asked, was that in the order of top performing? 300 by 250 do the best in your experience? Yes, actually. So 300 by 250, that's a great question. 300 by 250 do happen to perform the best, but as this is an introduction, I didn't really want to get into something that are now responsive display ads, which are ads that you build with different elements that can fit in all of the ad sizes, and those actually outperform regular display ads quite often. But they're very niche and it's a little bit harder to set up. It's something I would go into maybe in another talk. Right, so we covered formats, and Amanda has said here, what would happen if it's bigger? So Google flat out will reject it. It is a game of fit the square peg in the square hole, and Google does not mix matters. If it is 1 pixel over, it's not going to accept it. If it is 1 kilobyte over, it's not going to accept it. So the files need to be at those parameters, and they need to fit those specifications. Now, I've talked a lot about what they need to be and what they need to do and things like that, but I haven't really told you about what they need to look like and what are the key sort of things and tips and tricks to really start to maximize it. Number 1, always have a CTA, a call to action on your on your ads. You want people to know what you want them to do, right? A car, a very sexy car, if you're selling Hondas, a very sexy car looks great, might intrigue me, but I don't know if you're selling it, if you just want to show me it, what do you want me to do? So always have a CTA. Ads that do not have call to actions do not perform as well as regular ads. And at the end of the day, it's your money. You want to maximize your spend and get the most out of it. Secondly, be direct. In the 10 years that I've been working in digital marketing, direct ads always perform better. Give them a very clear description of what you want them to do, whether it's buy, whether it's sign up, whether it's visit, whether it's give us a call, things like that. Very clear direction always performs better. It leaves no ambiguity. So the person knows I've clicked on this because I want to buy a car, or I want to get this deal from KFC, or whatever the brand or the product is that you're selling. Thirdly, and I've said this before, I keep saying this, A/B test. A/B testing is hugely important for knowing what works, because people don't often consider this, and I was actually, just this morning we were talking about it, that every month or every time period that you run ads is different, because you're competing against different people, and it's a different things are going on the internet. For example, a great thing that we run into is that ad campaigns in December generally don't do as well as campaigns in January, simply because there's much more competition in December because everybody's pushing a Christmas sale. So this, what I remind clients often about is that you're not just competing against the 4 or 5 competitors in your category. Everybody's trying to buy the same 25 to 45 eyeballs that they want to convert on. So A/B testing will make sure that you continually learn about your audience based on what they do when they see your ads, and you will continually learn what works better, so that the same $100 that you spent last month goes a little bit further the next month and a little bit further the month after that. That is the best way to learn. And sometimes people will come to me and say, Rob, I want to get the best out of this, and it dismays them to hear me say, I can't tell you what's going to work perfectly. I can tell you where we could start, but every learning that we make is going to be new, because even within the same industry, there are very vastly different things that occur and affect how your ads perform, right? And 4, so we covered the tips and tricks here. 4 is that animation is better, right? Things that aren't static. Static ads are flat on the page. They just have one screen of information, and it's not as likely to catch your eye. Think about it. If something's moving, right, it attracts your eye. So if you can get animated ads, it's better for 2 reasons. 1, it's more attractive to the eye, and 2, you can fit a bit more information on it, right? 5, things like there's factors like the amount of mobile impressions that we're getting is huge. 70% of every impression that 70% of all impressions that you will get in any display campaign are going to be on a phone. Now, if you think about it, your phone screen is not very big, so you can't cram a ton of information into this ad. You need to have an ad that is very, very clear, uses as few words as possible, and says, this is exactly what I want. Because if you start to put a bunch of stuff, like, guys, look at the phone that you're looking on it right now. If you've seen ads on websites before, they don't take up a lot of space. So you need to make sure that it's very, very clear in what you're seeing. Welcome, Kiran, Tova, Shade. So guys, to recap the tips and tricks, right? I know we've introduced you so far to set up an ad. To set up an account, you go to ads.google.com, right? The types of ads that you're going to be able to do there, there are going to be 3 core types of ads: display, video, and search, right? And within that, there are 7 different types of ads that you can do: sales specific, lead specific, traffic, product and brand consideration, awareness and reach, which is what most of you will use, and it's probably the best starting point because it's the least technical. There's app promotion. If you're an app developer and you want people to buy and install your app, this is the way to get them to do that. And then finally, custom, where if you really know what you're doing, you can put together an ad campaign that does exactly what you need, right? We covered the top 5 sizes that you're going to want to use, right? I'll recap them very quickly. 300 by 250, 728 by 90, 300 by 600. So just to give you an idea of the sizes, 300 by 250 is a small rectangle. 728 by 90 is a leaderboard. It's something that you'll usually see at the top of a web page. 300 by 600 is what we call a half page. It's a fairly big, tall rectangle, and it takes up half of the web page usually. It's a lot of real estate. It's very good for if you need to communicate something in a big format and a big way that you just need this bigger space for. 336 by 280 and 320 by 100 are 2 of the mobile only sizes, and those do really well. I remember what I said earlier, that 70% of all your impressions are going to come from mobile, right? Your max file size needs to be under 150 kilobytes. Google will not accept the ads otherwise, right? Formats: JPEG, SWF, PNG, or GIF, right? If you can animate your ads, do so. If you can get someone to do that, even better. It works, and it works well, right? Catches people's eyes. And the tips and tricks: always have a CTA, be direct, A/B test. I cannot stress this enough. Spending the extra money to have a second campaign will pay off in the long run in what it saves you or what you get out of your money in the long term, right? Animation is better. Guys, I'm going to open the floor now to questions. I hope that was a good introduction. I know it was quick. I glossed over a lot of things. If you want me to go into more information, please let me know. The floor is open right now. Welcome, Mikkel868. Thank you, Shade. So, I mean, there's a lot of things that we can get into. I didn't want to get too technical with display ads. I know that display ads seem very daunting, but I promise you it's something that, it is one of the best in terms of awareness. Google has the largest display ad network in the world. So if you want people to know about your product, about your service, about your company, Google is one of the best ways to just get that brand awareness out there, right? I want to go a little bit into the targeting that Google offers. I know I did cover stuff like this on Facebook, but it's very similar. It's actually even a little bit more specific. So I'll get into that in a second. The Dragon Pope asks, he assumes it's possible to see which sites your ad appears on most. In your experience, do most of the impressions come from local websites or foreign ones? That's a great question. So yes, what he's talking about there is something called placements, and it's one of the many features that you can see in Google Ads. Placements allow you to see where your ad was placed, exactly that, and you can see the URL down to which sites got the most impressions, which sites ran the most your ad the most times. I would say, Dragon Pope, that it's usually a lot more foreign. Obviously there will be some star websites. Locally, you'd have websites like Express, Newsday, Guardian, news sites obviously have a lot of traffic. Trini Tuna is one of the largest sites in Trinidad. And in terms of Google Display Network, those would be the top local ones. But you will always get foreign sites that will dominate it, right? The few sites that are top 10 that don't have Google Display ads on them are Facebook, YouTube, things like Spotify. All the international major brands are not going to be on the Google Display Network. So to answer the question, it is foreign sites, but there are a few local sites that do appear quite often. They said the finger slipped and lost the question. Not a problem. So let's dive in a little bit to what you can do in targeting for Google Ads. Google Ads allows for much more robust targeting than Facebook. So you can do your general location, right? You can do the country. You can do specific towns, and you can. I mean, you can't do down to the street, but you can do towns and things like that. In the Caribbean, it's a little bit more difficult because there's less data, right? But you can get your general age, gender. You have the option to actually, in larger markets, you can actually choose income bracket, which is very interesting. I can't wait for them to open it up in Trinidad. But you can focus on people who are in the top 10% or top 30%, which would be a very good thing if your product or service is probably maybe it's very high end, or maybe it's something, maybe it's like payday loans, and you're like, okay, well, we need people under a certain bracket to see this because we need to. That's how our target market is. You can get into that. And one of I think the most interesting things that both Google and Facebook offer to some extent, but Google that really does it to another level, is the topics and life experiences and things like that. You can focus on people from Chaguanas who are interested in food, or you can say people from Chaguanas who are interested in specifically roti, or things like that. You can get very, very specific. But very much like I said with Facebook, sometimes less is more. If you're too specific, you run the risk of narrowing your market so small that it's very expensive to reach them. So this goes back to A/B testing. Make sure you test and test and test. Shad is saying, to spice things up, if I am managing various brands, what are my recommendations or tips? Well, that's a little bit more advanced than today, but just to answer that question, definitely set up, there's a master account that you can set up, and then create sub-accounts to that. Definitely keep it clean, keep it separated, because when things start to get messy and start to get confusing, it's just like keeping things organized. You create a master folder, you have your brand A account, you have your brand B account. Always keep them separate. It helps for billing, it helps for all these other purposes. In terms of further targeting, Google is constantly adding more features. They use smart campaigns, which can actually learn about your, it'll show your ads to, let's say, 1 million people, and it will learn about the ones who actually interacted with your ad. And then it'll say, okay, well, what can we learn from that group to then next time we run the ads, we'll show more to people like that. And Google, obviously having so much browsing data, allows you to allows them to say, okay, well, the people who clicked on the ad visit these kinds of sites, tend to be interested in these kinds of vehicles, or all these sort of very, very interesting aggregate data that they can bring to you through their smart campaigns. So I hope that you guys take a chance, set up a Google Display Ads account. If you have already, then great. Go test some things out and try it out and get back to me and let me know. If you have any other questions, I'm here. I'm also on the Instagram page. It's very active. I answer questions all the time, so feel free to reach out to me. But just one final recap before we head out. So Google Display Ads, you want to set up an account at ads.google.com. There are 3 main types: display, search, and video, right? There are 7 subtypes of ads: the sales, leads, traffic, product brand and consideration, awareness and reach, app promotion, and then finally custom, right? So to build your first campaign, a few things you're going to need to know. You definitely want to make sure that you need ads for sure, but these are the top 5 sizes. I won't get into them again because I've repeated that often, but you can check back earlier to get it. The max file size needs to be under 150 kilobytes. Otherwise Google is going to reject it. Google has very, very strict rules. There aren't like a 20% question. There isn't a 20% rule like with Facebook with text. It's very much Either it fits or it doesn't fit. Formats: JPEG, SWF, PNG, or GIF. Pretty common sizes. You're probably not going to run into problems here. If you have a graphic artist who's done stuff like this before, it's probably not going to be an issue. And then finally, the tips and tricks. Always have a CTA. Unless you tell people what you want them to do, they're not going to do it. Second, and the follow-ups, that is, be direct in your messaging. It doesn't matter what you're saying. You need people to know exactly what does this want me to do, so they can make the decision in their mind. Okay, I want to click on this. I want to buy a car. I want to get insurance. I want to buy this product or service. A/B test. It is the single best investment that you will make in learning how to spend your money better. And that is what makes the difference between good strategists and great ones. The ones that learn from what they've done in the past and then implement it, so that the $100 the $100 that reached 500,000 people one month can reach 700,000 people the next month, because you learned from what you tested. And if you don't test, you're not going to know. Animated is better. Things that move catch your eye, right? It's why I do this on a video instead of just a voice thing, because I move around. I'm a physical talker, so hopefully this catches your eye as well. And the fifth tips and trick is, and it's a sort of reminder, that 70% of all ad impressions in the world today are on mobile. And as a result of that, the ads are going to be very small. So you have to think about that. It's really nice when you open an email from an artist and it shows up on your big 17-inch screen, and the ad looks great and there's tons of copy, but when you shrink it down to a mobile size, you can't read anything. And that's very important. There's a lot of ads out there that do that, and it will only serve you well to handle that. So I saw some questions while I was doing the final recap, so let me just go through. Sharice Kassoon is saying that I have not actually ran a Google ad. However, I have attempted to set up one, and there was a category option for where your ads would be shown. What are the top categories in Trinidad for best reach? Sharice, that's a fantastic question. And honestly, the category option is a little bit more about your target rather than the best reach. Because if you wanted the best reach, you would put no category, and that would allow you to reach anybody that's doing anything online that falls within your age and gender demographic settings. But what you want to do is try to make your ad as relevant as possible. If I'm selling cars, I don't necessarily want to focus on people who happen to be browsing at the time for, let's say, food and drink, right? Conversely, if I'm selling rotis, I don't want to focus on people who are looking at cars to buy. So that is the best reach is no restriction. That means that everybody can see your ads at all time. However, the most effective reach is going to be the ones that focus on your specific demographic, and that's the only way to know that is to test it. And final point on that is that sometimes less is more. So don't put tons and tons of targeting. Try 2 or 3 really core ones that are a little bit broad, and that'll help you reach who you really want to reach without narrowing your targeting too much. Dragon Pope has asked, am I going to do a talk on Google Ads from a publisher perspective? So in other words, using AdSense or Ad Manager on your website. Dragon Pope, I would love to. I am not as versed on that as I would like to be to give a talk myself, but I definitely like to get somebody on here to talk about that, because monetizing your content is a huge deal for a lot of publishers in Trinidad, and not everybody does it. Not everybody does it well, and those who do it, you know, to really make money, sometimes you end up looking like Trini Cars for Sale, and that's not to knock that website. It's a good site, but it's just loaded with ads. Thank you, Skrull Tui. I hope I'm saying that correct. This session was packed with info, every minute well spent. Thank you very much. Yes, so guys, Scorio, you joined in a little bit late. We're wrapping up now, but feel free to look at the replay that's going to be stored on the Instagram channel, or head over to our YouTube channel, search for Digital for Everyone, and subscribe there. All of the talks are going to be uploaded. Very happy to take you guys' suggestions for another talk if you're interested, just like Dragon Pope asked for some AdSense and Ad Manager. Interesting. Some talks about that. Other than that, guys, thank you for watching. Thanks for your time. I'm going to be here every Thursday until the wheels fall off. So, guys, thank you for joining Digital for Everyone, and have a good night.